Shalom Yasharallah. It's your brother Darashamath, and I'm back with another lesson. Before I get started, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kodash, and double honor to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone for bringing out this truth. And shalom to the whole full elect, which includes the 144,000, the rest of the elect that scattered around the world, including those speckled bird Israelites who may look like the other nations, but are not. This one goes out to the 12 tribes scattered abroad because the scriptures were only written unto the nation of Israel. This is your brother Darashamath. Again, I'm an affiliate of the GMS Boise, Idaho camp. And this is Matthew, the 5th chapter. This will be part 1, the Beatitudes. So I have the definition of beatitude pulled up, and it is supreme blessedness. Okay? So Yahweh Shai is talking about blessings. Okay? And these are blessings that pertain to the Israelites, okay? Because the scriptures were only written unto the nation of Israel, all right? He showeth his word unto Jacob, all right? This does not apply to the heathens. So let's jump into it. So this is Matthew chapter 5 in verse 1. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him. So they went over into a mountain. So he was outside, all right? He was in the streets, man. He was in the mountains, okay? He wasn't in some pulpit, all right? So he went outside, okay? Verse 2, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, verse 3, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, all right? And you have to ask yourself, why are the poor blessed in spirit? Okay? For there is the kingdom of heaven. Well, who are the poor? All right? That's what you got to answer. All right? That's what you need to know. So let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 9, verse 18. And it says, for the needy shall not always be forgotten. The expectation of the poor shall not perish forever. All right? Now, remember, I told you, the scriptures were written unto the nation of Israel. All right? The poor are the Israelites. Okay? Because remember, the Israelites are under these curses. They're on the bottom. Think about the rich man and Lazarus. Okay? Lazarus is the poor man. He represents the Israelites. Okay? So we are that poor and needy. All right? We go to our enemies in one of all things. But eventually, we're not going to stay upon them that slay us. We're going to stay upon Yahweh B'Shem El Shai. All right? So, for the needy shall not always be forgotten. Okay? Because now, we're on the bottom. We kind of pushed to the side. All right? And Yahweh B'Shem El Shai, he's starting to deal with us again. Okay? We're not going to always be, in this estate where we are. The expectation of the poor shall not perish. Okay? Why? Because the creature longs to get back to that estate where he was. All right? That's what we want. We want to get back to where we were. So our expectation of, eternal life, okay? Those gifts, the kingdom of heaven, because that's what we all long for, okay? Let me see. What is that? Romans chapter 11. Verse 7, what then? Israel have not attained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained, and the rest were blinded. Okay? So we got this understanding, this truth, this word. Okay? But our expectation is for the kingdom of heaven. Okay? We're setting our eye singly on that. Okay? Now let's go to Romans chapter 8 and verse 19. Okay? And it says, for the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestations of the sons of power. So who are the sons of God? The sons of power. The Israelites are the sons of God. Okay? What is that? Psalms, chapter 82 and verse 6. And it says, I have said ye are gods and ye are all children of the Most High. Speaking of the Israelites. All right? But now we're in this lower state and we die like one of the princes. Okay? So, we're trying to get back to that state where we fell from, free from these chains of darkness, okay? That's what we're trying to get back to, right? And that's the kingdom, All right, we got to go through these straight, narrow, and vain things in order to get there. All right, so the poor are the Israelites. All right, so we are blessed. And why are they blessed in spirit? Because our blessing was spiritual. Okay, we don't have that carnal blessing that Esau Edom has. All right, didn't Isaac bless both of his sons, Jacob and Esau? Okay, you see Esau's blessing at work every day. So this is Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 7. When a wicked man died, his expectation shall perish, and the hope of unjust men perisheth. Okay, so Esau Edom, his expectation, he ain't got none. It's not go. It's gonna perish. It's gonna fade away. All his hopes and dreams. But for the Israelites, that's not gonna happen. All right, our expectation for the kingdom, that's gonna come into fruition. Okay, because that's the spiritual blessing that we have. Okay, we have the promises, the covenants, all of it. It's ours. This world is ours through the Spirit. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 43. It says, the stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. All right? And that's the lowest state we're in. We're poor and needy. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt lend to him. No, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. And that's the state we're in. We're in the bottom. Okay, we last. All right? And let's get Haggai 1 in verse 6. And it says, ye have sown much, putting in that work, okay, trying to reap the benefits, and bring in little. We ain't bringing in that much. All this work we do. All right? Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is no warm. There is none warm. And he that earneth wages, to put it into a bag with holes. We subject to payments. We get paid. We like, oh, I got to pay this bill. I got to do this, do that. We ain't going to have to worry about that in the kingdom. Okay, but right now we do. We are poor and needy, and we're subject to payments. All right? Let's go to Daniel. Chapter 7, verse 18. Okay, and it says, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. Okay, it's another way of telling you who the poor and needy are. Okay, didn't the scripture just say, not 19, Matthew 5. All right, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Okay, so if the poor in spirit, if the kingdom of heaven is for them, but we know that the saints are going to take the kingdom, then we know that the poor and the saints are talking about the same people. Okay, so you go to Psalms. Once again, Psalms 50 and verse 5, and it says, gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. And who did that? The Israelites. Nobody else. And if we jump up to 148, Psalms 148 and 14, for he exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints. And who's the people of Yahweh Shem Yahshai? The Israelites. Even of the children of Israel, a people near unto him. Praise ye Yahweh. It's right there. Okay? So that's who the saints are. And the saints are the same as the poor. Okay? Let's go back to Matthew chapter 5. Verse 4. And it says, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. And you gotta, you're just reading this at face value, like, what? If you're mourning, how are you blessed? All right? It says, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. All right? The scriptures talk about how the tears will be wiped away from our eyes. Okay? Our mourning is going to be turned into joy. All right? Death and hell is going to be cast into the lake of fire for the Israelites. All right? We ain't going to have to die anymore. We ain't going to have to suffer anymore. All right? This is it for us. Okay? Once we go through all of this punishment, okay, that'll be it. All right? For the elect, they go through Jacob's trouble, they be good. The 2/3, they got to go through Jacob's trouble, plus the day of the Lord in the lake of fire. Well, we all got to go through the day of the Lord, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. The elect, Jacob's trouble, that culminates in the day of the Lord, and then the 2/3, Jacob's trouble, that culminates in the day of the Lord, and then the lake of fire, which happens on the day of the Lord. But the elect won't have to deal with the lake of fire. They'll be beamed up. All right. But once we get to that, to that heavenly estate, we won't have to mourn again. Okay, we're gonna be rejoicing. So let's go to Psalms chapter 126, in verse 5. And it says, they that sow in tears shall reap in joy. Okay? And the scriptures also say it's better to go into the house of mourning. Okay? So they that sow in tears shall reap in joy. He that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seed, shall doubtlessly come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him. That's the Israelites. We have those precious seeds. Now, let's go to Isaiah chapter 25, in verse 8. And it says, he will swallow up death in victory, and Yahweh power will wipe away tears from off all faces. Now, off all faces, that's not applying to the heathen and all of that too. Okay? It's talking about the Israelites. This was an Israelite prophet. Okay? He was an Israelite. Isaiah. Okay? He's prophesied to the Israelites. Okay? Yes, they did prophesy against, other nations and stuff like that, but this is about the Israelites. All right? And the rebuke of his people. Okay, letting you know it's talking about the Israelites. And the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth, for Yahweh had spoken it. Okay, because we are in this lower state now. Go read the book of Lamentations, how these nations mocked and laughed at us and stuff. All right? It's called Lamentations for a reason. All right? We are on the bottom, Now, let's go to Isaiah chapter 30, verse 19. And it says, for the people shall dwell in Zion at Jerusalem. Thou shalt weep no more. He will be very gracious unto thee at the voice of thy cry. When he shall hear it, he will answer thee. All right? So, we ain't going to have to cry no more. We could, ask how about Shimmy Ashar for what we want, and he going to give it to us, man, in the kingdom. All right? We're going to have it like that. We don't have no reason for tears. Let's go Isaiah chapter 35, verse 10. It says, and the ransomed of Yahweh shall return. Okay, speaking of the Israelites, and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. It's going to be done. It's going to be finished. Over for us. Finito. Okay? Well, we do have that time when Yahweh Shai is going to show us his body and what he went through. And that should be the last time we mourn. This is Isaiah chapter 51 in verse 11. Therefore the redeemed of Yahweh shall return and come with singing unto Zion, and everlasting joy shall be upon their head. They shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and mourning shall flee away. Verse 12, I, even I, am he that comforted you, Yahweh. Okay? Who art thou, that thou shouldest be afraid of a man that shall die? Okay? So we only fear who? Yahweh. Okay? The one who could destroy the body and the soul. Okay? Don't fear man who could just destroy the body. And of the Son of Man, which shall be made as grass. Okay? And let's go to Isaiah chapter 66 in verse 10. And it says, Rejoice, ye with Jerusalem, and be glad with her, all ye that love her. Rejoice for her, all ye that mourn for her. And who's mourning for Jerusalem? Okay, Jerusalem, the people before is the place. The Israelites. Okay? Don't you see those men out there sighing and crying for the abominations thereof? Now let's go to Matthew chapter 5, and let's do verse 5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Meek goes into humble. Okay? So you got to be humble. Pride coming before a fall. All right? So we don't have no reason, to lift ourselves up. Pride was not made for man. All right? So we need to lift up Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Then he will raise us up. Okay? So let's go to the book of Psalms once again. Psalms just has so many gems in it. This is Psalms 96 in verse 9. And it says, when power arose to judgment to save all the meek of the earth. Well, wait. All the meek of the earth, does that apply to heathens who are humble? No, because salvation is only for Israel. Okay? That's who he coming for. That's who he's going to save. All right, we could just, since we're in the Psalms 14 and 7. Oh, that the salvation of Israel were come out of Zion, when Yahweh bringing back the captivity of his people. So we are captives right now, okay, under debt slavery. Jacob shall rejoice and Israel shall be glad. Let's go to Psalms chapter 25, in verse 9. The meek will he guide in judgment, and the meek will he teach his way. All right? So you have to be humble. Okay? We are judges in training right now, you Israelite men. Okay? You have to humble yourself down to be able to learn how to walk on the straight and narrow path. Okay, how to understand this word, because this word is the lamp unto our feet and the light unto our path. Now let's go to Psalms 22. In verse 26. And it says, the meek shall eat and be satisfied. They shall praise Yahweh that seek him. For your heart shall live forever. Okay? Did he say my servant shall eat? He's going to provide for his people. Okay? Whatever circumstance. But we go get to that highest state. Okay? The kingdom of heaven. All right? And we will live forever. Let's get one more, and I'm going to close out. And we'll continue this with part 2 another time. So this is Psalms chapter 49 and verse 4, and it says, "For Yahweh take pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation." And we already established who salvation is for. And if you keep reading on, it says, "Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing loud upon their beds." So it's talking about the saints, the Israelites. All right? So, hope this short lesson was edifying. And I'll return, Yahweh Ratazah, with part 2. Shalom, Yasharallah.